All right, let's jump right in. We're going to look at a story you probably think you know, but we're going to see it through a completely different cultural and legal lens. We're digging into how a controversy with a U.S. talk show host looked from Germany. And wow, does it tell us a lot about two very different takes on press freedom.
So this is really the core question we're tackling today. Why on earth did a story about Jimmy Kimmel, which, let's be honest, in the US might just seem like another day in politics, why did that set off such huge alarm bells in the German press? Let's unpack this.
Okay, so it all kicks off with the tone of the coverage. You see, in Germany, this wasn't just another bit of celebrity news or some political spat. No, they saw it as something way more serious.
The words that outlets like tonline.de used were highly critical and alarmist, and that seems seriously strong language. See, for German journalists, the very idea that a public figure could face trouble at their job because of government pressure, that's not just a controversy, it's a massive red flag. It's a sign that something is fundamentally broken. And the reason for that visceral reaction? Well, it goes right to the heart of their constitution.
To really get why they reacted that way, you have to understand the legal ground that German journalism is built on. And trust me, it's a world away from what you might be used to.
So in Germany, freedom of the press isn't just a nice idea or a regular law. It's a constitutionally guaranteed absolute protection. The key words there are absolute and protection from government influence. That right there is the bedrock.
And you can see it right there in black and white. This comes straight from Article 5 of Germany's Basic Law, which is their constitution. It's so direct, so clear, there shall be no censorship. Full stop. When your whole industry operates under a shield that powerful, even a tiny hint of government meddling feels like a five-alarm fire. So why? Why is this guarantee so incredibly ironclad? Well, the answer is etched into Germany's history.
Right, this constitutional shield didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was forged in the fire of one of the absolute darkest chapters of modern history.
You have to remember, the experience of having a government-controlled media, especially during the Nazi era, left this deep scar on the entire nation. The memory of how propaganda and censorship were used as weapons of oppression created this unbelievably powerful, almost sacred commitment to making sure it could never, ever happen again. So this isn't just about law. For many Germans, it's a deep cultural and emotional pillar of their democracy.
All right, so we've got the law, we've got the history. Now let's tie all of that directly back to how this story about an American talk show host was seen.
And this is where you really see the two worldviews just collide. Where a lot of people in the US might have seen a political squabble or, just pressure on a private company, the German media saw something so much more dangerous. They saw symptoms of authoritarian behavior. They saw a direct attack on a core democratic principle. It just goes to show you how the exact same set of facts can be seen in two totally different ways, all based on where you're standing.
So what's the big takeaway here? What's the bottom line from the German perspective? What was the ultimate message they were trying to send with all this coverage?
For them, this was never just about one guy or one TV show. The Kimmel incident was like a canary in the coal mine. It was a stark, flashing warning sign about the real potential for democratic backsliding. It's a signal that a core pillar of any healthy democracy, a free and totally independent press, is under threat.
At the end of the day, this whole thing is just a fascinating case study. It throws a spotlight on just how fundamentally different the attitudes toward the press can be, legally and culturally. From the German point of view, their super strong constitutional protections aren't just a nice to have. They are an absolutely necessary defense against democracy itself starting to crumble.
And that kind of leaves us with this one big final question to think about. For Germany, it's clear the ghosts of the past are never very far away. They directly inform how the country responds to threats today. And that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does any nation's past end up defining its fears in the present?